The hospital smell hit me the moment I walked through those automatic doors. Antiseptic mixed with something I could never quite name. Fear, maybe. I was 15 years old, and I knew I was dying. My name is Marcus Chin. Back then, I was just a kid from Sacramento with a rare blood disorder that nobody could pronounce correctly. Aplastic anemia with myelodysplastic features, the doctors said. What it meant in plain English was that my bone marrow had given up on me. My body stopped making the blood cells I needed to survive. I remember sitting in that stark white room at UC Davis Medical Center, watching my parents across from me. My father, Richard Chun, sat with his arms crossed, his expensive watch catching the fluorescent light. My mother, Patricia, kept checking her phone. They had that look on their faces, the one I had seen before when our dog got sick and they decided it was too expensive to treat. The oncologist, Dr. Morrison, was talking about treatment options. Bone marrow transplant, chemotherapy, immunosuppressants. Each word came with a price tag that made my father's jaw tighten. You need to understand something about my parents. They were successful people. Dad owned 3 car dealerships across Northern California. Mom was a real estate agent who closed million-dollar deals before lunch. Money was never the problem. The problem was me. I was not the son they wanted. I was small for my age, bookish, more interested in sketching buildings than playing football. My older brother, Jason, was their golden child. Stanford pre-med, varsity basketball, everything I was not. He was 22 and already making them proud at every turn. Dr. Morrison looked at me with kind eyes. She was maybe 40, with graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She had been my doctor for 6 months, since the diagnosis. She actually remembered my name without looking at the chart. The treatment would be aggressive, she explained. I would need to stay in the hospital for months. The bone marrow transplant had a 60% success rate. Maybe better, maybe worse. But without it, I had maybe a year. Probably less. My father cleared his throat. That sound I knew too well. The sound that came before disappointment. We need to talk about this as a family, he said. His voice was flat, businesslike, like he was negotiating a car price. Dr. Morrison nodded slowly. I could see something shift in her expression. She had been doing this long enough to know what was coming. They left me in that room, told me to wait. Through the small window in the door, I could see them in the hallway. My mother was crying, but not the way mothers cry for sick children. She was angry. My father was on his phone, probably calculating costs, weighing options. A nurse came in. Her name was Helen, and she had been kind to me during my stays. She checked my vitals without saying much, but I could see pity in her eyes. That was worse than the fear. When my parents came back, I knew. You always know. Son, my father started. He could not even look at me. Your mother and I have discussed this extensively. The treatment is experimental. The success rate is not guaranteed. The cost would be substantial, and we have Jason's medical school to think about, the business investments. What he did not say was that I was not worth it. But I heard it anyway. My mother spoke up then, her voice thin and shaky. We think it might be better if you were comfortable. Hospice care. They have wonderful facilities. You would not be in pain. They were letting me die. At 15 years old, my parents were choosing to let me die because I was expensive and inconvenient and not the son they had dreamed of. Dr. Morrison came back in later that evening. My parents had already left, promising to return in the morning to sign the hospice paperwork. I was alone in that room with machines beeping around me, marking time I did not have. She sat down next to my bed. Marcus, she said quietly, what I am about to tell you is not standard protocol. She explained that there was a program, a medical trial at Stanford. They were looking for patients exactly like me. The treatment would be free, completely covered. But it was risky, experimental, and my parents would have to consent. I laughed, came out bitter and sharp. They won't, I said. She looked at me for a long moment. Then let me worry about that. I did not know then that Dr. Morrison was going to fight for me, that she was going to make calls, pull strings, and do everything in her power to save a kid whose own parents had given up on him. I did not know that she was going to change my life. All I knew was that I was 15, lying in a hospital bed, and I had never felt more alone in my entire life. Dr. Morrison worked fast. Within 2 days, she had me transferred to Stanford Medical Center. My parents signed the papers, but only after she told them it would cost them nothing. They seemed relieved, grateful even, like they were doing me a favor. The day I left UC Davis, my mother kissed my forehead. Felt cold. Obligatory. My father shook my hand like I was a business associate. Jason did not come at all. Too busy with midterms, they said. Take care of yourself, Marcus, my father said at the hospital entrance. His car was already running. They had a dinner reservation in San Francisco that evening. Some investor meeting that could not be missed. I watched their Mercedes pull away from the curb. I was holding a small duffel bag with some clothes, my sketchbook, and the phone they had given me 2 years ago. The screen was cracked. They never offered to replace it. That was the last time I saw them for 8 years. Stanford was different. The trial was brutal. They pumped me full of chemicals that made me so sick I wished I was dead. There were nights when I vomited until there was nothing left, when my body burned with fever, when I begged anyone listening to just let it end. But Dr. Morrison was there. She checked on me every single day, even when she was not on shift. Helen transferred to Stanford just to keep working with me. I found out later she had taken a pay cut to do it. The other kids in the trial were not so lucky. There were 12 of us at the start. By month 3 there were 8. By month 6 there were 5. I learned not to get too attached. I learned that hope was a dangerous thing in a place like this. My parents called once. It was my 16th birthday. The call lasted for minutes. My mother asked if I was comfortable. My father asked if I needed anything. I said no to both. What I needed, they could not give me. They did not call again. The trial dragged on. 8 months. 10 months. A full year. My body was destroying itself and rebuilding over and over. The doctors watched my blood counts like priests reading prophecy. Some days the numbers went up. Some days they crashed. On month 14 something changed. My counts stabilized. Then they improved. Then they stayed improved. Dr. Morrison came into my room on a Tuesday morning with tears in her eyes. Marcus, she said, her voice breaking. You did it. You are in remission. I was 17 years old. I had survived something that should have killed me, and I had done it completely alone. I tried calling my parents to tell them. The number had been disconnected. I tried their house. A stranger answered. They had moved, apparently. No forwarding information. They had erased me. I built a life from nothing. Dr. Morrison helped me get emancipated at 17. Helen and her husband, Tom, let me stay in their guest room until I finished high school. I worked nights at a grocery store, studied during every spare moment, and applied to colleges with a transcript that had a year-long gap filled with the words medical leave. UC Berkeley accepted me with a full scholarship. I studied architecture, the thing I had loved since I was a kid, drawing buildings in the margins of my notebooks. I graduated with honors, got a job at a firm in San Francisco, started designing the kinds of structures that made people stop and look up. By 25, I had my own small practice. By 28, I had designed a community center in Oakland that won awards. I was successful, happy even. I had friends, a girlfriend named Sarah who made me laugh, and a life that was entirely mine. I had learned to stop thinking about my parents. They were ghosts from a past I had survived. Then my phone rang on a Wednesday afternoon in March. Unknown number. I almost did not answer. The voice on the other end was my mother. Older, shakier, but unmistakable. Marcus, she said. Oh, thank God. We have been trying to find you. 8 years of silence, and those were her first words. Not I'm sorry. Not we were wrong. Just thank God. Like I was a set of lost car keys they had finally located. My hand tightened around the phone. What do you want? It's your father, she said. Her voice cracked. He's sick. Very sick. Acute myeloid leukemia. He needs a bone marrow transplant. We tested Jason, me, everyone we could find. No matches. The doctor said we need to test you. You're his son. There's a chance. The irony hit me like a physical blow. My father was dying from a blood cancer, the same category of disease that had almost killed me. And now they needed me. Marcus, please, my mother continued. I know we have not been in touch. I know things ended badly, but this is life and death. He's your father. I stood there in my office, looking out at the San Francisco skyline I had helped shape, buildings I had designed, a life I had built with no help from them, where I finally said, Stanford Medical Center, the same hospital where I had nearly died, where they had abandoned me. I will think about it, I said, and hung up. Sarah found me an hour later, still standing at that window. She knew some of my story, not all of it. Some wounds were too deep to share completely. What are you going to do? She asked quietly. I did not know. Part of me wanted to let him die the way he had been willing to let me die. Part of me wanted to walk into that hospital and make them see what I had become without them. But mostly I just felt tired. I went to Stanford 3 days later. Not because I forgave them. Not because I was ready to be their son again. I went because I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to face the people who had thrown me away. The oncology floor looked the same. Different paint, maybe. New furniture in the waiting room. But the smell was identical. That mixture of antiseptic and fear that I remembered from when I was 15. My mother was in the family waiting area. She looked older, smaller somehow. Her hair was gray now, cut short. The expensive jewelry was gone. She stood when she saw me, her hand going to her mouth. Marcus, she whispered. I did not hug her. I stood there, keeping the distance between us. Where is he? She led me down the hallway to room 407. My father was in the bed, hooked up to machines that beeped and whirred. He looked nothing like the man I remembered. That man had been strong, imposing, always in control. This person was gray and hollow, his skin paper-thin, his eyes sunken. He turned his head when we entered. For a moment he did not recognize me. Then something flickered in his expression. Shame, maybe, or just desperation. Marcus, he said. His voice was barely above a whisper. You came. I pulled up a chair but did not sit close. What happened to Jason? My mother's voice came from behind me. Jason died 3 years ago. Car accident. He was coming home from the hospital after a shift. The words hit me like a punch. My brother. Dead. And they had never told me. Never reached out. I had missed his funeral. Missed everything. I'm sorry, I said. And meant it. Whatever Jason had been, he did not deserve that. My father was crying now. Silent tears running down his face. We were wrong, he said. God, Marcus, we were so wrong. We chose money over you. We chose comfort and reputation over our own son. And I have lived with that every single day since. My mother sat down, her hands shaking. We looked for you. After Jason died, we realized what we had done. What we had lost. But you had changed your name, moved, disappeared. We deserved that. We deserved all of it. I looked at the man dying in that bed. The man who had let me go. And I felt something crack open inside me. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But something close to understanding. I got tested the next day. The results came back 48 hours later. I was a match. Not perfect, but close enough. Dr. Morrison was still at Stanford. She came to see me when she heard I was there. She hugged me tight. This woman who had saved my life when my own parents would not. Are you sure about this? She asked quietly. No, I said honestly. But I am going to do it anyway. 5 years have passed since that transplant. My father survived. The recovery was long and painful, but he made it. The irony was not lost on either of us. I had given him the second chance at life that he once refused to give me. Our relationship is complicated. We talk now maybe once a month. We meet for lunch sometimes at a diner halfway between San Francisco and Sacramento. The conversations are careful, measured. We are learning how to be in each other's lives again, but we will never be what we could have been. That ship sailed when I was 15 and they walked away. My mother tries harder. She calls every week. She came to my wedding last year, cried through the whole ceremony. Sarah understood why I needed distance from them, but she also saw that I needed some kind of closure. She was right, as usual. I never changed my name back to Chin. I kept Morrison, the name I took when Dr. Morrison helped me get emancipated. Felt right. She had been more of a parent to me than my own blood ever was. She walked me down the aisle at my wedding. She is the grandmother my daughter will know. Yes, I have a daughter now. Emma. She is 2 years old. With Sarah's smile and my stubborn determination. When I hold her, I think about the choice my parents made. I think about how they looked at their sick child and decided he was not worth the investment. And I hold Emma tighter. I will never understand it. I have tried. God knows I have tried to see it from their perspective, to find some justification that makes sense. But there is none. You do not give up on your child. Not ever. Not for any reason. My father knows this now. He told me once, during one of our careful lunches, that losing Jason broke something in him. That he realized too late what he had thrown away with me. That he wakes up every morning knowing he wasted years he could have had with his son. I did not tell him I forgave him. I am not sure I ever will completely. But I told him I understood that people make terrible mistakes. That fear and selfishness can make us into monsters. That we are all just trying to survive the best way we know how. The community center I designed in Oakland has my name on a plaque outside. Marcus Morrison, architect. People walk through those doors every day. Kids learning, families gathering, lives being built. It stands as proof that you can survive abandonment. That you can take the worst thing that ever happened to you and turn it into something beautiful. I am 33 years old now. I have a wife who loves me, a daughter who depends on me, work that fulfills me, and parents who finally see what they almost destroyed. My life is not perfect, but it is mine. I built it from nothing, and nobody can ever take that away. If the story moved you, leave a comment below. Tell me about the moments that changed your life. Subscribe to hear more stories about survival, forgiveness, and finding your way home. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the family you were born into. Thank you for listening to my story.